Andrew and Nathan, you guys were last week in Solana conference in Da Nang. How was it?
Bearish.
Uh,
No, I'm just kidding.
Andrew's bearish as usual. No, I thought it was great.
No, it was great. It was nice to see a lot of people. Bigger crowd than I expected, and also just nice being by the beach.
Yeah, to be fair, a lot of the conferences in Vietnam the last couple of years have been just absolute shit shows. So I had very low expectations going into this conference. We had a couple of meetings set up with some good potential partners. So it's not a long trip for us from where we're at. So thought it was worthwhile to go out, and it definitely exceeded my expectations, even though they were low going into it. But definitely one of the better conferences in Vietnam that I've been to. It was great to see also a lot of actual projects there, which credit to Solana, really working in the APAC region to develop real projects. And it wasn't like, I don't even think there was a few memes there. I think we saw like the Retardio guys and a couple other memes, but for the most part, these were legit projects, which is quite the opposite of what we experienced, Jan, in Token in Dubai. And Token in Dubai was like the service provider conference, like 8 out of 10 people you would talk to were like a market maker or a smart contract auditor.
Smart
yeah,
contract
a lot of
auditor.
Your Jan's favorite.
If anyone wants a smart contract auditor, oh man, I got the pockets.
Yeah, it was great. There was a few, good funds and VCs there. A lot of new projects, up and coming projects there. A lot of foundations. So Solana had some, obviously their foundation people there. We ran into, like the Bonk team, Monkey DAO, 1inch was there. So a lot of like the big players in the industry had a presence there of some sort. Overall, it was a good conference. Well worth the trip out there. Still playing catch up. So if we ran into you out there and we haven't gotten back to yet, we're working through it. A lot of context to catch up with, and I'm sure if you were there, same thing, typical week after conference kind of stuff. But yeah, being by the beach didn't suck either.
Yeah. But the market's been kind of exciting, man. Like we had the huge dump, and now we're recovering, and we're actually like, I don't know. It feels like all-time high is coming up. What are you seeing, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, let's start with this Jan barometer study, because this is kind of the cycle study that I've been following since beginning of this year, and this pretty much just kind of lays out what the price action could possibly look like for the entire year. And this is based off of pretty much like that first week of S&P during that New Year's, that very first week. And essentially what you do is you overlay that price action over the full year. And essentially what happens is usually the price or the charts, they usually kind of follow along, kind of like how it's represented on that first week price action. So actually you measure the first hour, you measure the first day, and you measure the first week. And then essentially this is kind of what you get. And so if you look on the left, the white line is essentially the Jan barometer for what we expect on the year. The yellow is what the S&P or Spider is doing right now. And as you can see, it's been following it pretty closely. And then on the right side, it's just overlaid with just kind of like expected dates that we were kind of estimating. And again, it's been pretty close. Like even Bitcoin has been kind of following the same kind of price action, I would say. And so right now we're kind of getting into that phase of like, okay, like we just had this like one last dip kind of middle. And then kind of like we were thinking like July 1st, I guess, for like the kind of bottom and then the pivot. And then heading back up into the summer and then up until pretty much fall. But these things might happen sooner or a little bit later, or it might not even happen at all, right? These are just kind of like, statistical models that we just kind of use as a frame of reference. But as you can see, we are following it pretty well, and we are expecting a summer rally. We've been talking about this for months now, where I've been pretty bullish for how the summer looked like. And I think we just had that dip that we were kind of expecting. If you look at the barometer, we just had that kind of top come in, and then we just kind of reverse right out. So I feel like we're right at that point of like just about breaking out from these recent highs, and then hopefully we can continue on until fall.
You've been very good with this trend line and overall, like.
Yeah.
I've been very bearish every summer, but this might be the first summer I'm like, okay, Andrew's saying we're bullish. Maybe I should turn bullish. But I mean, look what's happening outside in US. LA is on fire and so forth, but I guess that doesn't matter.
No, LA is on fire every year.
Yeah, normal.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, even if you look at tech sector seasonality stuff, it's also pointing up. So the last 20 years, the markets are generally kind of positive for the tech side of things. And I know the old stereotype is like summer is boring, ranging markets and stuff like that. But I do feel like this year, I don't want to say it, but like it might be different this year. This time it might be different, and famous last words, right?
I mean, both Bitcoin and ETH looks pretty good. I'm looking at your graphs at the moment, and especially like Ethereum. Wow.
Yeah,
like,
Ethereum is looking very nice. I'm actually more bullish on Ethereum, to be honest. But
it's like a clear camel, right?
Yeah. I mean, hopefully it doesn't turn into a BART. Don't want to get too bearish here, but we are coming back up against top of range, right? Like, so, last couple of weeks we were talking about this double top. We had the breakdown, and then I was expecting a bit lower prices, to be honest. Like, I thought we would at least hit like below 100K, but it seems like 100K is like a pretty strong floor. Big fat round numbers psychologically. People like to play around these kind of areas. So, we have the bottom of the range pretty much at that low. We have the top of the range at a 112. And essentially, we came really close to the bottom, and then we quickly bounced out. So, a lot of buyer interest has stepped in. I'm trying to think what the catalyst was. I think there was like some kind of big news drop. I can't remember. We were away at the conference stuff as well, so
it was China. It was Trump and China and Elon.
Trump and Elon fighting. Yeah,
it was full fight on.
Right. So that was this big sell-off, I'm assuming, and then it just kind of bounced right back. I initially thought it was a dead cat bounce, but it's been pretty strong here. So as we come back close to the top of the range here, right, we got a reload zone. So it's sitting right against the 78.6. It got rejected at the 88.6, which is these previous highs right here as well. So obviously there's some resistance here right now. We don't have any like bullish momentum signals in the sense that we didn't get oversold. We don't have any bullish divergence. We're still in the face of a bearish divergence technically. But overall, there's no signs of like double tops yet. I think obviously the market, if this kind of pulls back, it makes sense just because after a big extended move like that, there's usually some kind of reaction to the other side. So what you can do is, if you really want to like try to trade this range, is now you can draw your fib range. I know the chart's going to get messy a little bit, so I do apologize. But then if you're really wanting to hunt this, now you have a fib range from this low to this high, and then you can try to hunt, within your 38.2s, which is around 106, or you can try to hunt these reload zones, or even that 88.6, which is right against that candle body low. So those are kind of like the areas that I would be interested in. If you're on the short side, this is the area where you probably would try to step in and short. If you are coming back into the long side, kind of like hunting those lows again would probably be best. If we went on like the lower time frame charts, you would have seen that it actually did come into like a reload zone. We came back in, and we came right into that 1.8, and then we had these bullish dips and stuff like that. So on the lower time frame, there was signals that a reversal was due, and then I don't know, we just had a pretty strong rally. Like I was looking at a lot of like this breadth chart that I have. I can't show it here because I gotta download the picture, but essentially it was showing that we were quite oversold yesterday. And due to that, I was actually starting to get very bullish. And then obviously today, overnight, we had a pretty strong rally. So Was able to actually get a few doubles off and stuff.
But it seems to be like the 100K is now the new floor. Like
for now,
it is pretty strong. I'm I'm pretty curious about this, but I'm like, is this real? Is this still happening?
I don't know.
For me, 100K is like, if we stay here for a while, I don't know. Maybe we won't see any more underneath 100K. What do you guys
I mean,
think?
it'd be nice. I would like that. I mean, to be honest, I would rather if we just started like consolidating and creating like wide W's again. That's kind of my favorite. Like just like how Ethereum is doing right now, we're trying to create these like stride structures, and then that really creates a base of a lot of supports. Especially if we break out, then that leaves us with a lot more chances of this trend holding up. We are still technically in an uptrend as well because we are still making higher highs, higher lows overall. So I mean, we're so close at this point. We do have CPI coming out tomorrow, I believe. PPI on Thursday, and then next week we have FOMC. So depending on how the econs come out this week, we might see a continued rally, and then we might get a rally up until FOMC, which then things might correct. So we'll see.
I'll take the contradictory opinion, and I think that's actually a bullish opinion. I think you guys are bearish if we start seeing new all-time highs in the next week or two here. Bearish in terms of the cycle, because we were talking before we got started here. If we just rip this throughout the summer, we're seeing the end of the cycle pretty quick here in early fall most likely. So I'm in the camp. I think we like you just were drawn there, Andrew. I think we range here between all-time highs around 112 and high 90s. There's a couple strong indicators. In like the 96 to 98 range for like maybe it's even just like a quick wick down there. But yeah, I think the 100K is a good base between this like 100 and 110, ranging throughout the summer. If you're a trader, a little chop action for you to trade throughout the summer, and then I don't think we start seeing any significant new all-time highs till this fall when we start getting rate cuts.
Perhaps.
And, I think that, but there's more of like maybe it's hopium. For me, that's the best case scenario for us to have an extended bull run where we see a real blow off top for Bitcoin where we reach up into 200K and higher.
Yeah, like I honestly was hoping for that 97K tag because that is the 38.2 right against these previous lows, but it looks like these lows are actually acting as pretty good support for now. So yeah, I mean for now,
we got time.
Yeah, I think we're still in a ranging type market, but let's see. Only time will tell at this point. Looking at Ethereum is the same thing with Bitcoin. We are coiling here. We are trying to put in some kind of W type structure here. But again, we are up against these previous highs now. So then, we are in these reload zones. This is typically where we're going to see shorts and resistance. The good positive sign is we are breaking above these moving averages. So generally, when you're above all the moving averages, it's a pretty strong sign to the bull side. But in terms of like a trade setup right now, I don't really see anything on either or. I think I'm mostly more bullish on the altcoins right now, especially with ETH being so hot here. And then obviously the move, it was pretty much on that breakout there yesterday, if you're able to catch that. But right now, I think, we are up against the top of the range. So, if we do start forming bearish structure, we're probably better off trying to chase the shorts. But if we do start printing these double bottoms and stuff, then I could see us stabbing up a bit higher. Momentum wise, same thing. There's not anything screaming to the bulls side quite yet. We are in the face of a bear div still. We are, we just came out of overbought conditions. But yeah, I mean, I think the market's really just going to probably wait for this CPI print coming out tomorrow, which I think I heard is going to be pretty mellow. So I don't know. If we go over to the altcoin stuff, I believe the alt index was looking decent. We are getting these little V bottoms, a little double bottom on the red one, which is pretty much all the cryptos, excluding like the top 10s. So I'll kind of look at that for like most of these like small caps or whatever you call it. But the rest are just kind of de-bottoming, but they are pointing up higher. Stablecoin dominance stuff did break down the other day, which was good to see. Bitcoin dominance is starting to put in slightly a double top as well. As long as if the Bitcoin dominance does break down, and if the stablecoin dominance can continue breaking down lower as well, along with it, then that would give us a pretty strong signal for the altcoins overall, and which is ideally what we want to see. But overall, like altcoins are hot. Like, we've had a few trades on, like Comp, for example. I think a lot of this DeFi stuff is probably hot just because of the fact that there's a new stablecoin news that came out, which we'll get into in a bit later. But I was able to finally get my double off of Aave.
Congrats on that.
Yeah, it took freaking forever, but that's the thing about these setups. They take time. You gotta let them just kind of do its thing. So I was able to sell half on a double, take the other half, and ride it out until we hit our next double. And essentially locking in 2 free positions for this cycle now. And if we do get that crazy face rip up, surely we should be able to hit those targets. But overall, I mean, like the market looks pretty hot, man. Like a lot of altcoins got these little nice W's coming in. Nice kind of reversals coming back out. And essentially, if you can find coins that are, within reload zones, that have W's working within the reload zones, then I think those are your best bet. And, I'm pretty long on a lot of stuff right now. I do feel like the market is looking very attractive against these lows. Market sentiment is still somewhat pretty low in terms of like altcoin stuff. So I feel like that's another reason why, like, it's probably decent to try to pick some stuff up. I picked up some of this stuff, within the reload zone. What else did I
What about Better Chain? How's Better Chain?
Better Chain looks like ass.
It's been very bad.
Bought some ICP. I think ICP is ready to fucking moon. Just because, like, we got these nice long double bottom bases. You go on the weekly chart, you got a weekly W now. And so if you can find any chart with a weekly double bottom like this, it's like almost guaranteed like market side. So those are like your 3 main things to look for if you're thinking of trying to chase bottoms. Because I do feel like we are in that zone right now, especially, again, if Bitcoin, ETH can, keep up here, I do strongly believe that, we're expecting some kind of run here. So, I was able to get some doubles off. Pretty happy with that, and loaded up some more stuff. And I mean, again, if you can find those W's out there within those reload zones, why not?
You're good.
Yeah.
All right. Nate, what's happening with the news side?
Man, we got a lot going on the M&A and OTC side of things, which if it's your first time watching, welcome. We do this a couple times a week. We are the largest mergers and acquisitions platform in Web3. We're also one of the largest OTC desks out here as well. So very kind of like TradFi stuff in the Web3 space, but it's a very up and coming side of the market. And 2025 has been one of the hottest years so far for M&A, not just in Web3, but in Web2 as well. A lot of major news stories about huge acquisitions that are going on. Us directly, we're seeing record number of sellers coming in looking to get acquired, as well as pretty much every foundation, top exchange, etc. Is doing something in the acquisition space right now. Some more serious than others, some deploying more capital than others. But a few years ago, M&A and Web3 really didn't exist. It's a great sign of maturity in the market that we're actually building real businesses now. Obviously there's still a lot of speculation in the market, but the companies that come put together real businesses and have real revenue, real users, real TVL, it's creating a great M&A market. If you want to find out the latest on the M&A and OTC, especially the weekly hot deals, you can sign up for our newsletter right on our website here. It goes out every week, highlights just kind of some basics on what's going on in the market and what to keep an eye out for, as well as some of the hot deals that we have for acquisitions, as well as OTC, secondaries, equities, SaaS safes, things of that nature. So wanted to take a quick look here at some of the secondaries. big news this week here. We'll take a look at in a minute. Pump Fun in the news, raising a whole bunch of money. So a lot of demand going on now for trying to get your hands on the Pump Fun, IDO tokens there. So we have very active buyers looking for that. Lens Protocol, we've got a listing for sell side on that, and also sell side on soon. Volmux and a ton of other great OTC deals right now. In fact,
I just want to say on the Pump.Fun stuff, like there's a very controversial opinion going on. Like, hey, like Pump.Fun, it's gonna be like hype. They overvalued and so forth. But to be honest, okay, guys. For example, Keta, which is a meme, it run to 1.4 billion without any revenue. Now, Pump.Fun trying to do a token sale at $1 billion valuation. Now,
$4 billion valuation. They're raising $1 billion.
They're raising okay, but still, okay.
That's even more ridiculous.
4 billion is still like, it's not a lot. It's not a lot compared to their revenue. Like, I understand there's a lot of like haters out there. I personally don't like Pump.Fun. I think they're extracting a lot of wealth from the ecosystem, but they're making money. They have a lot of they have a big war chest. They can do a lot of with it. And if they're raising $1 billion, I think they're gonna either do their own chain, and they're probably gonna do their own decentralized exchange even. So I don't know. I'm trying to get in. I'm actually buying personally. And yesterday I got in touch with someone selling. But this is for tier 5 people. There might be something for you guys also, but I think this is pretty bullish. Look what happened to Circle IPO. Like, it's a good move.
I don't know. I can see the both sides of it. The team obviously did well within their niche. They were also first movers there. I think something that to be considered. They made what $270 million last year, something like that. So like a 15x valuation, which is not unheard of. But that was the absolute zeitgeist peak of memes ever. Are we going to see that again? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, memes aren't going away, but I don't know that we see the absolute FOMO that we did, last year when they were making all their money. The other side of it is they were pretty much the first mover and the only game in town when they were making that level of revenue. Now there's dozens of platforms out there that are taking market share away from them. So I don't know. I'm so like jaded now with this industry. Every time we see one of these companies come out and be like, this is the next greatest thing, smartest team ever, and they go out and they raise $1 billion with all this, huge hype and pomp behind them. Like almost all of them have flopped and just been like, buried investors. It's just they're raising $1 billion. It's a ton of sell pressure from VCs as that comes out. That being said, they have proven themselves, at least within the niche that they were in. And $1 billion is a lot of money. They can do or build anything with that. And if they are able to execute on some sort of, whether that's exchange or whatever, then yeah, maybe they can get to that valuation. But I mean, how many exchanges do we have now that are worth $4 billion? Like,
and how many tokens have done $1 billion valuation launch and failed?
Like all of them.
Pretty much all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my point. I think the numbers are way too high. I think, if they cut their numbers down significantly, it'd actually be better for them in the long run as a company. Now the founders themselves, I mean, shit, they're gonna raise $1 billion. They're already, they're gonna laugh. They're gonna be laughing all the way to the bank regardless of what happens. So I don't know. If we had the opportunity to pick some up, I might. But I'm not tripping over myself to get into it. We've got another story here we'll cover in a bit that I think is that you brought up earlier, Jan. I think it's a better opportunity, but I don't know. You're a smart man, Jan. I know fading Jan's never a good idea, but
No, but I have my thesis. I think they've done a lot of revenue. I see behind the scene what's going on. I also understand that they're backed by the Israelis, and usually, like, if you have a founder that is coming from Israel and that is in tech, they're probably in the top, like, I don't know, like top 1% coder level. And what's behind scenes happening with Pop.Fun and what they're building, there might be some interesting things. Obviously, this is not a recommendation, financial advice, or anything else. This is my own thesis. But I think despite they're raising so much and despite the valuation, I think they will go further. I think they will challenge hype. I think there are some other things that will fall under. But yeah, let's see.
Yeah.
We shall see. Another one interesting play happening in the market right now, outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum, is what's going on with BitTensor, TAO. NASDAQ listed Oblong. Sees their stock jump 12% as they're eyeing a $7.5 million BitTensor Tau acquisition for a Bitcoin MicroStrategy type of lending scheme that we've seen here. Is this going to become the norm for like every strong project like Bitcoin? Too many people are doing the MicroStrategy approach with Bitcoin. So now people are trying it with Ethereum, and then we're seeing BitTensor. BitTensor, obviously, very strong protocol, very hype protocol. If you're not familiar, they're one of the top AI projects, very limited supply, 21 million, and it's fully circulating. But I think this is a very interesting opportunity for Tau holders and then for the market, for alt market.
Good for my Tau banks.
No, this is the new norm. I think this is just an example. There's a lot of different institutions, family offices that have been approaching actually us and asked about Tau, which is kind of remarkable. But yeah, I think Tau is on a growing stage. Their subnets has been growing steadily. So basically, subnets are kind of like miners, and subnets are producing different AI solutions. The more you use a subnet, the more they will get rewards. But I think this is a good move. Obviously, 21 million, it's the same as Bitcoin. Could be a good move. Last year, I was very bullish on Tau. I'm still thinking to buy something, but I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, if this is one way we can get our alt season, I guess, is if they start doing all these, if we start seeing all kinds of MicroStrategy-esque plays on different top altcoins, that could finally get things pumping. And of course, you know, if the top alts, the blue chips are all pumping, that's going to slowly trickle down. We might see that kind of typical cycle where we go from Bitcoin to ETH, top alts down to mid caps and micro caps that everybody's been patiently waiting for since the last cycle. So hey, yeah, I mean, it's all, if it all goes up in a fiery mess in the end, I mean, maybe that's what we're destined for, like at the end of every cycle. But in the meantime, at least this gives us some kind of hopium.
Yeah. I mean, if retail's not going to buy, at least the institutions are here to pick up our bags.
Yeah. Well, and I think overall, like, it's a matter of time. Like, you know, there's only going to be so much institutional pressure before retail gets in. I personally think it's still going to be this cycle, but I very well could be wrong. This could be, you know, this could be institutions just setting themselves up to in one giant Wyckoff accumulation phase where they're going to push the markets down so they can all buy everything up and then get retail excited and bring them in to rinse them in the beginning of the next cycle.
Yeah, I mean, institutions are notoriously known for not buying up markets, but it seems like all they're doing is buying up markets right now.
Yeah, 100%. Well, you know, we talk about it every single week, sometimes twice a week, but more bullish adoption from you know, institutions, nation states, sovereign wealth funds. The White House crypto director, you know, tripling down now on the statement that the Trump admin is going to announce plans to accumulate more Bitcoin. It's been big hype since he was running. I think they kind of made the announcement at the Bitcoin conference in July last year in Nashville that all but guaranteed a Bitcoin strategic reserve, which we now have. But the kind of bigger piece of that everyone was waiting for is, when is the U.S. government going to start buying? To me, every single week we see more and more stories about new institutional adoption. To me, it's very clear that the Bitcoin arms race is on. It's kind of happening in the shadows. It's happening in the private markets, but the real fireworks are going to be when the U.S., China, the UK, Russia, and all the major economies of the world start fighting each other for the supply of Bitcoin. That's where I think we really can see that blow off top and numbers start to absolutely fly.
I don't know, man. Like 10x from here, it's not bad. Like we're just touching base 100K. It seems to be the new floor. Maybe this is the new norm. Maybe it's time us to develop and understand, like, hey, everybody are now ready for the Bitcoin train.
Maybe that super cycle is real. Maybe. Most of what we've been covering the last few weeks has been like bullish Bitcoin news. We've seen some stuff around some top alts like Ethereum. This story here coming out, I think, is possibly the most bullish thing for this industry, the DeFi industry, and altcoins as a whole. The SEC chair, Paul Atkins, announcing that DeFi platforms will be exempt from regulatory restrictions. Tom Emmer, a senator, or he's a representative, I can't remember which, but part of the U.S. Congress, very pro crypto, very OG pro crypto guy, explaining this a little bit more. Because you're not custodying funds at these DeFi platforms, you're not considered a money transmitter, therefore not subject to the regulatory whims of the SEC and the powers that be. Now, great, very bullish in this, for DeFi. This needs to be coded into law though before we get a new administration. Because how many times have we seen them flip and flop back and forth on these things? Tornado Cash guys were in jail for how long? We've seen how many times has Kraken, Coinbase, XRP, like all these different platforms. Obviously, not necessarily DeFi in those cases, but tons and tons of protocols being gone after by the U.S. government. In fact, crypto has been essentially dead in the U.S. for the last 8 years because of fears of prosecution for this. So love seeing this. This could open up an entire new wave of DeFi innovations in the U.S. and in the West. But it still needs to be put into some sort of law, or still needs to be put on the books in some fashion that whoever comes in 2 years, 4 years from now can't just reverse everything and start going after these companies that have at that point probably spent hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, in building infrastructure that they now have to, move offshore again in fear of prosecution. So, but at least in the short term, very big win for DeFi. Super bullish on this.
Nice. This is why Andrew got his double on Aave.
Yeah. Yeah. My maker bags, my comp bag,
smile at the moment.
Flying.
He's just thinking about the money.
I don't even care, bro. I just want my bags to pump. Thanks.
Yeah,
sounds good to me, man.
That's the kind of positive story we need to see more of. But outside of that, it's slow news week for crypto. I think scrolling through the crypto Twitter feeds, about all I'm seeing is the riots in LA and Greta Thunberg getting deported from Israel. Other than that, it's been a little bit Elon and Trump fighting. But in terms of actual crypto news, not a whole lot going on there. Some clickbaity headlines like Mr. Hodgkinson saying once we get this market structure bill passed, $250K to $500,000 Bitcoin. I definitely think we get there someday. I don't know if it's within the next 2 years. I think 250 is possible this cycle yet, but who knows? We'll see what's going to happen there. BlackRock buying some Ethereum. We've been talking about kind of some of is Ethereum the new hot thing on the market? There's the new Ethereum strategic reserve started by one of the founders of Ethereum. We've been seeing BlackRock inflows into Ethereum. So, more bullishness for institutional bullishness for Ethereum as well. I don't know. What are you guys thinking for the rest of the cycle here? Are we going to see Ethereum finally start to outpace Bitcoin, or is Bitcoin going to keep its boot on Ethereum's throat and just keep climbing that ladder?
This is a tough one. I don't know if it'll outpace Bitcoin, but I think it'll eventually be able to break all-time highs. If we're lucky enough. Like I said, we got a few good months here for some up action, and I do feel like there's a pretty high chance of the market's finally catching up. I don't know about surpassing Bitcoin, but if we can at least get to all-time highs, good enough for me.
Yeah, I think everybody would be happy with some all-time highs with ETH. I think that if we see that, we do see a proper altcoin run, so that's going to make everybody happy. And just as much as I want to troll on ETH for being just a garbage network, at the same time, it is still pretty much the backbone of altcoins, backbone of DeFi. We're not at the point where we can see an altcoin rally. We can see this market really succeed without Ethereum succeeding also. So definitely don't want to be a hater in that sense.
Yeah.
I'm gonna I like the leadership, what they've done. Like they've gone to the team and be like, all right, we need to do some extreme measurements now. But will we go all-time high? I don't know. Maybe. I'm still pretty not happy how last year went for ETH. They were so close of just going upwards 4K, but I don't know. Maybe this time it's different, right? Oh wow!
Shit! Famous last words, bro.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think it might be a little, too late for Ethereum, what they're doing. They have made some good moves in the short term, but how many times can you shit the bed and have people still forgive you? How many we've had? I don't know how many updates on the protocol in the last 5 years that was supposed to be the next greatest thing, and each one does less than the next one, and we haven't ever had this big Ethereum breakthrough that they keep talking about. The change just keeps getting worse. So. Yeah. Maybe this new, the new leadership can pull a rabbit out of the hat and bring Ethereum back to its old glory. But they've got some hot competitors breathing down their neck with some absolute killer teams that are extremely well funded, putting out some great tech, have a lot of momentum. So I don't think Ethereum's ever going to go away. I think we see a multi-chain future for sure. But I don't know that we see Ethereum, having such a dominance in the markets as they have. I just don't see them regaining that. I think it's going to continue to slowly bleed out into other top L1s and L2s, and kind of see that market cap gap between a lot of those level out between Ethereum and a lot of the other top ecosystems out there.
Mm-hmm.
But what do I know? I'm just a dude. just a dude shooting off my opinions on the internet.
Yeah. Just a dude.
But yeah, that's about it. All I had for today. I mean, we're about 40 minutes into the stream. So if you've made it this far, thank you for your time. Thanks for watching. If you want to find out more about what we do, check out the website. We've also got the Deal Flow channel on Telegram, where you can see deals posted, listed live as we get them, both on the M&A and the OCC and secondary side. We've got our Tier 5 community. That's kind of our exclusive whale DAO. You'd actually have to be a big whale to get into that. I think it's the equivalent of like $140, $150 right now in the Acquire.Fi token to join that group. But lots of very smart dudes in there. Keep it light, but share a lot of alpha. Talk a lot about a lot of serious stuff going on in the markets, and also have some unique opportunities for potential investments into pre-sales, into OTC, a lot of variety of different stuff like that. So if that's of interest to you guys as well, check that out. You can ping us on Telegram. Happy to help you guys get into that as well. Other than that, give us a like, give us a share, do all the things that the algorithm likes, and leave us a comment. Let us know what you want to hear us talk about next week.
See you guys later.